His name is Mitch Garnett.
I want you out of the park.
What are you hassling me for? Don't treat me like I'm some kind of junkie. I'm a vet.
I want you out of the park now.
He's fighting back for everyone who was ever pushed too far.
Well, let's not have any stupid mistakes, okay? I don't want anybody to get hurt, and nobody will get hurt if we do everything my way.
He's unpredictable.
We are certain that a band of well-coordinated, well-trained guerrillas is responsible.
Unconventional.
I am the individual who controls the park.
It's one guy. One guy.
And completely unstoppable.
What are you doing in here?
You got something to say? You want to tell people something? You want the world to know about this? Let me get it on tape, and I'll make sure it's seen.
I am staying in this park until 9 o'clock Wednesday night.
We will remove him before the deadline.
They wanted him out of the way.
I'm getting you out of here in first line.
Give me a break. We're both dead, and you know it.
Now, he's out of control. Tommy Lee Jones is a one-man revolution, and he's going to war against the city of New York.
Fun Tommy Lee Jones recommendation, because we don't want to completely throw a human being under the bus, although this guy was difficult, and from my understanding still is. The Park Is Mine with Tommy Lee Jones and Yaphet Kotto. See that and have a good time. Thank me later. Now back to Jonah Hex. Malkovich earned your respect because he was easy to work with, and that's always the trick.
He always had my respect. The guy won an Oscar.
Yeah, he did.
He gained my admiration. Is what he did. He gained my admiration. I will give respect to anybody who deserves it. And if you respect me, I'll respect you back. But he gained my admiration on of all things, Jonah Hex, the movie that we all want to shit on.
No, but that's the sign, right? We were talking, Richard Ashton from Vikings and I were having a conversation about Christopher Lee and how he said something to the effect of, every actor is going to have it's the job of every actor on occasion to be in a bad movie, but the trick is to not be bad in them. And there's your little wisdom from Christopher Lee for this afternoon. Right, so we're talking Jonah Hex. We have John Malkovich, who surprised Bill. Ravi's the executive on it. Akiva's company's producing it, and at some point goes into salvation mode. So do you. Now, what are you doing when you're working until midnight on a movie? Like, what exactly? Explain to the audience.
It's mostly somebody had to be there to approve things if they weren't sure. Like if they needed the studio to approve anything, I'd be the guy. I'd be there to do it. And I was a senior vice president. I had approval authority up to $1 million, believe it or not. So all of these aspiring filmmakers out there who had their little independent projects that I just need $10,000 to do it. I could have approved your whole project.
Bro, why didn't we do Night Fever?
More.
We could have done Night Fever for $1 million, no problem, and the studio would be making.
But the studio
didn't of money on
they didn't buy that. They didn't buy into that. Plus, this was a DC project, so Legendary was in on it too. So when I would go to the mixing stage, it just wasn't Akiva. It wasn't Akiva. And we already mentioned Andrew Lazar. It wasn't just them, but you also had John Jasny from and Thomas Tull and Bill Fay from Legendary. And then once in a while, we'd see Greg Silverman in there. I got the feeling that I don't know if Greg was trying to distance himself from this project or what, but I got the feeling that he wasn't as committed to it as perhaps something else he might have been doing simultaneously.
So,
which
happens. Does happen. How soon into production or pre-production did you realize this thing's coming off the rails?
Well, it wasn't until we started getting dailies,
So
and the dailies weren't The Daly, it wasn't so much that the dailies were bad as much as, well, some of the performances were not that great, but when they started putting together cut footage, when we saw the director's cut, I mean, that was it was cringeworthy. And yeah, I mean, that's all you could say about it, is cringeworthy. And I found out, talking to Ravi, that Jimmy Hayward, the director, wasn't even sober through most of the production stuff, that he was either drunk or high or something. And Ravi was complaining about it all the time, complaining about it. I didn't know this. I didn't know he was complaining about it, because I heard, I was with Mark Solomon, and Jeff Robinoff pulled Mark aside, and I was by Mark's side. I would, he was my boss. We worked together. And he was, actually, it wasn't Mark Solomon. It was Steve Papazian. So he was Mark's boss. So I stayed behind in a meeting, probably to ask a question or something. And Jeff said, it was in Jeff's conference room, and nobody else was there, just Steve and Jeff and I. Ravi's one of us, isn't he? And Steve's like, yeah, he's one of us. And Jeff's like, well, how come I didn't hear about any of this stuff? About Jimmy being not sober. And alarm bells were ringing off in my head, because I knew that Ravi was complaining. I was hearing about it. So when I got back to my office, I called Ravi and I told him about that conversation. And Ravi was pissed, absolutely pissed, because he had been calling Greg Silverman every day. And Greg was Jeff's right-hand guy.
Why isn't this director replaced? Why isn't this director replaced?
Well, I mean, I would have replaced him the first week if I knew that he was, the first day, if he showed up drunk.
Yeah, gone. You're gone.
If it was me, but that wasn't me, and I didn't know. I didn't know it. I didn't know it while we were in production. I was starting to hear stories.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk to Ravi about it, there's a fine line. You want to find out what's going on, but you don't want to be a gossip about it. And to set the record straight, we all love to hear the gossip, but nobody wants to be perceived as a gossip, So,
well, what we're talking about is sort of a key ingredient to the overall investment.
Well, it is. I think the reason that, according to the article in Comic Book Magazine or comicbook.com, so everybody should check it out, Josh Brolin. Apparently Jimmy Hayward is very ill. I think it was bone cancer was what was listed in the thing. And apparently it's affecting his facial bones and stuff.
And that sucks.
So it's, so Jimmy's having a really, really hard time. So Josh is, I guess, probably feeling bad about any personal attacks, but I'm not aware of them because I don't pay attention to it. These projects are over and I move along to the next one. I try not to dwell on them.
As we all should,
but you keep dragging me back into these things.
Well, hold up. So. Stop acting like I'm the mafia. Questions come up, but it's not like we step into a production bear trap.
Listen,
with some of this. We just like to discuss it.
But not, we're not doing brain surgery on infants either. Okay,
right.
We're making movies. We're making entertainment.
This is Peter Coyne from The Godfathers. NMOSD is a killer. Help find a cure for NMOSD and with it cancer. Please go to the Guthrie Jackson Foundation and donate today. Thank you.